Are you stressed?
Yeah, are you
Am,
stressed?
am I stressed? I don't know. Maybe,
How do you
maybe,
deal with that?
maybe a little. Maybe we should talk about stress today. What do you think?
Yeah. Probably.
And I don't know anybody who isn't stressed. How about you
Yeah,
guys? How are you feeling? Are you
I'm stressed.
you're stressed? You're stressed.
Yeah. Stress is my default. Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of like how it's kind of like where we live. Like it's just where, and I hate that, but it's just it's there. It's it's where I reside. Sometimes it's a little higher, but it's just there.
Man, I'm telling you. I wanted to get together and talk about stress because I know that's just like you said, it's just where we live anymore. Um and I don't know that we'll have any brilliant solutions for getting rid of stress. I mean, I would bet we don't. But I don't know, maybe we have a tip or a trick or two that somebody could try. At least people could know that we're rowing the same boat with them, I guess. I really I thought once my kids got to a certain age, stress would get better, but that was a lie. It does not get better. I don't think it matters what age your kids are. So how do you guys manage? I'll throw it to you first. How do you guys manage?
It's so true about the kid thing, when they're little. My guys are young adults, so you're stressed when they're small, right? You're like, oh my goodness, the double stroller, or I got the kiddo in the backpack. How am I going to get to the groceries? Just all that stuff. And now, as my children are young adults, I would give anything to go back to that little double stroller. But I mean, I don't know. My kiddos just they bring joy. Of course they bring joy, but they also bring adult problems.
Yeah.
And it's like mama is supposed to help. And I'm like, I can't always I can't always help. I'm tired. I'm tired, kids. So I don't know. I
Do you ever
sometimes just I sometimes just tell my kids, listen, for example, my one son is he's running a marathon soon. So he's trying to find a hotel and he's coming to me. And I'm like, dude, please. I said, we've got, just go online, find a hotel. So it's just kind of funny how they depend on us a little bit. So again, and I've created this little monster. So I don't know. I'm trying to push back and take some of that off my plate, but it's still there. It's still kind of like, did he get the hotel? Okay, did he pay too much for it? Is he going to have to Uber from, the hotel because it's not a walking distance because all the hotels, because he waited until the last minute to book the hotel, all the close hotels are taken. So it's just, like I said, we reside there. It's always there, but I'm trying to give it back to them a little bit just to hey, you're an adult, can try to figure this out.
do
I
you guys
agree.
ever do you guys ever look around for the adult in the room and then you're like, "Oh crap, that's me."
Yeah.
When did that happen?
Yeah. I get.
Seriously.
I'm like I'm in a household of 5, and every day I say to myself, I'm the only one doing anything around here. And then you take on everybody else's stress that they have as a mom, and you continue to clean the house and take care of the pets and get all the school papers in order, and you know make sure your husband's lunch is ready. It's like there's a lot of stuff going on, all these moving parts. And um, I think I recently have been starting to just let a couple things go. And that's really helping me. I mean, because I am not like that. I don't like to let things go. I want my kids to look presentable, and I want my house to look presentable, and I want my dog's hair to be brushed. It's like, I don't care. Right now, I'm just gonna sit down for 5 seconds and take a breather. Because it's sometimes it just gets to be too much. I've been letting my 5-year-old pick her own clothes. No matter what she picks, she can wear it, because it just takes one, like you said, Pearl, one little thing off my plate. I am, as long as it's appropriate for the weather, put it on, girl. Let's go.
Absolutely. I was going to go say back something to Pearl. You know, my oldest is in her 30s and she's still calling me, Mom, you know, help me to do this. Mom, what do I do about this? And I'm like, girl, you're in your 30s. You know,
Yeah.
have you not learned yet? I mean, she still calls her dad and saying, how do I like my steak? You know, I'm like, you don't know how you like your food yet? How do you make, you know, dinner? You know, how do you do this? I'm like, come on. You're stressing me out.
Yes. Yes. Oh,
From across town.
Yes.
We live in such a virtual world. Our kids could stress us out no matter where they are. Isn't that great?
Exactly.
Right? Yeah. Yeah. So if you're
Right.
listening and you have little kids and you think your stress will be reduced once they get older, we're going to be honest and burst that bubble and be like, no.
Yeah. It never stops.
And I don't know, is it more stressful when they're in the house and you've got to deal with them, or the different kind of stress when they leave the house and then you're worried about them from a distance?
I think it's hard too, Christina, because I think that when the phone rings, I always have the panic mode sometimes, like, what's the matter? Especially like at nighttime, like, what's wrong? Are you okay? Like, is something the matter? Like, I always have that panic, especially with my daughter, because of like her past. Like, I always have that worry, I think, like if something's the matter.
I remember Maria saying that one day. She said if the phone rings in the evening, like after a certain time,
Yeah.
she just gets that ball of stress just because of, you know, situations that happened ages ago, but it just triggers that stress response for her that, you know, who knows if that'll ever go away. That's just embedded in her now.
Yeah.
absolutely. I even my parents who live just, you know, a half a mile down the road, I make it a point not to call them late, but sometimes I have to for something. And I always say, everything's okay. We're good.
Lead
Just-
with it.
Yeah, I lead with it. Yeah, yeah, because I don't, you know, they're older, and I don't want to, you know, cause any more challenges. But yeah, you're just always going to be a parent, and you're always going to, you know, have a level of worry and concern, and that's just how I think mamas are bred. I mean, that's just, you know, I really I think sometimes I'll. You know, we'll be having a discussion, and like you said, I'm the only parent in the room. I'm like, Dad's right there. Your dad's right there. But they come to mama, and that's it's okay. Like, I, you know, but sometimes it's as one of my kids says, it's a little extra. It's just a little much to bear sometimes. It's extra. So
And I think it's important to recognize that so many like companies and things like that put it onto, as a society, we put it on you. If you have stress, it's up to you to fix. And I think that that's really unfair because we're not necessarily the ones causing the stress. So I think that it's important that, you know, for employers and families and stuff to recognize that it's not just on mom or on dad or on primary caregiver to reduce that stress. It's on all of us to pitch in. So if you've got a partner, they can help with that stress by not saying, "What do you need me to do?" Because they have eyes. By pitching in and doing something. And if they're really, truly not sure, because I don't know about you, but sometimes I'm just so stressed out that I get overwhelmed and it's just easier for me to do. And maybe what somebody's trying to do to help is just more aggravating just because I'm in that loop. Having a conversation with your partner out of a stressful time and say, "I really want to help. Let's talk about how we could divvy things up and have that conversation about how we can work together to take some of that stress off your plate." And I love it when school people call and the very first thing they say, like the very first thing out of their mouth if they're calling during the school day is, "Your child is fine." And then go on with whatever it is that they're calling about. Because as soon as you see that school phone number show up on your phone, or someone messages you, "Hey, you've got to call on line 2 at your kiddo's school," that fall in our stomach just turns into, it just gets bigger. So first thing out of your mouth, "Your children are fine, everything is great." And then whatever you're calling about. I think most school people know that, daycare, stuff like that. I think that that's just kind of standard. It also works great if your parents have the kids, or the kids are somewhere else. First thing out of your mouth, "Kids are fine." Kids are great. Then we could kind of gauge our stress. So how do you guys deal with it practically?
Well, oh,
No, I
go
think with my husband, I think especially if it's in a stressful situation at the house, like if I'm at home and it's in a situation where I need him to take over, it's like, tag, you're it. I'm stepping away from the situation. It's your turn. I need a moment to step away, because right now I need a break. I think it's important for, parents to step away from a situation, you know what I mean? And say, "Dad, your turn." It's your turn, because moms need breaks too, especially if they're home all day, and dad's maybe working. So that dad can step in once in a while.
Absolutely.
And I was just talking with a family, I think it was last week, about that exact thing. Dad comes home, mom is very, very stressed and overwhelmed. She's got a lot of littles at home. But the problem is dad comes home late, like every night at 7, right? And it can be challenging, but I said, it doesn't matter if he comes home at 7. He could take that half hour, a half an hour. And that's his time. That is his time to regroup with his children, to take that stress off of mom.
Yeah.
Even if it's at 7 o'clock at night and it's a getting ready for baths or whatever. Yeah, I love that tag you're it thing. Yeah, it's your time. 7 to 7:30, even if it's at night, at night. And we get it, dads, or your partner, or if they work outside the home and it's, but the job inside that home is extremely important and can be a lot. So.
And sometimes it's walking in that door, tag.
right.
Yeah.
Standing outside on the porch, right? Tag. No,
You're driving in the door. Hey, tag,
Yeah.
you're it.
my husband works afternoon evening shift, so I don't kind of have that luxury of him coming home after work, where he's leaving before I get off work even. So for me, like if I'm stressed in the evening, he'll help me on the weekends, or I'll just text him, "Oh my gosh, it is such a mess here. I am ready to blow a gasket." And he'll be like, "Okay, give one of the big girls the con, we call it, like the the control, and you go and watch your show for half an hour or whatever. So I do rely on my older kids to step in sometimes, and I'm just like, listen, I need a moment.
Yeah.
And they're usually pretty good about it. So
I love that you're a sci-fi nerd family.
we also
I totally got it. I'm like, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that sometimes we feel like shame. We feel some kind of way about asking our other kids to pitch in to, take over for a minute. But I think it's fine. I think it's great modeling to say out loud, I need a break. I'm going to go to my room. I'm going to take a few minutes. When I come back out, we'll do whatever. But they are old enough where they're not little infants. They can hold their own head up. They could wait a few minutes without, hopefully sometimes our kids can, without setting the house on fire or whatever. But I think it's really good for us to model for our children, I need a break.
Mm-hmm.
And I need you to respect that. And I'll be back in a few minutes and we'll finish this or we'll do that or we'll move on to the next thing, whatever it is. Because we do try and teach our kiddos to take a break when they're stressed out. So showing them how it's done and also giving them the opportunity to support you when you take a break, I think can really show them that they're valuable. They're a valuable part of the family and that they have a part in helping out too.
Right. Full disclaimer though, I'm usually like ready to go over the cliff by the time I'm asking them to help. And they're like, yes, Mom, anything you need, Mom.
And that's most of us as moms though. I think that most moms are at that point of stress overload. You know what I mean? And I think it's so important for us and our listeners to recognize that, moms need that break, and to recognize that the stress that we're under and to take that break once in a while, and to find out what we can do to recognize that stress and those breaks and, what can we do to help ourselves?
I think it's important to also, give yourself grace, as a caregiver, and you're up there and you're ready to blow, gasket or, whatever. It's okay to put the TV on for a couple minutes. It's okay to leave the dishes in the sink. It's okay to get everybody in the car and go get ice cream because that will keep everybody quiet and happy enough for you to breathe and get through those moments. High stress for most people, hopefully don't last forever, right? It's a few minutes. It might feel like hours, but you just got to get through it.
Yeah.
I like to tell our families on our website, we have a tip sheet that it's an emotional safety plan. And, look at that and just write down some things, some ideas, and see if that, you can go to that list. So it's not such a scary moment that, okay, okay, I need to breathe. I need to figure out what's going to get me through the next half hour. So if you have that, emotional safety plan, just kind of visible and there at the ready, sometimes that'll help you from blowing a gasket.
Yeah, when you're under stress, your body is thinking with the most primitive part of your brain. So that is not a good time to be thinking creatively about how you could give yourself a break. So that's kind of the whole point. It doesn't have to be anything fancy, just a plan of a handful of things that you can do in a variety of situations to decompress before you catch yourself being at that I'm going to explode kind of a moment. So maybe it's, just something super easy. It's nothing high tech. It can be move into the kitchen and make yourself a cup of tea right? And that few minutes that it takes to heat up the water is just giving you a break away from the stress, or going for a walk, or calling a friend, or listening to music. Everybody has their own solutions. And what I think is really important is that when you come up with that list, that you try it out, and oh, well, tried that and that didn't work. So edit it. It's if my go-to for relieving stress is to take the dog for a walk up and down the block, and it's, there's a foot of snow, or it's icy, or it's pouring down rain. Welcome to Pennsylvania. Have something else on the list so that you could, maybe it's even just something like as simple as running up and down the steps to do laundry, to kind of move your body to get that stress out of your body. So, keep a list, see what works, add to it. I love the idea of running for ice cream. It's always a good go-to, right? Any other tips, ladies?
Just try to take care of yourself.
I read this really great book this summer. I did an audiobook, which I think is really great if you're busy. You can have like one earbud in while you're doing the dishes to make sure that the house is still like no one's like on top of each other, screaming, yelling for help. Called Burnout. It was written by two sisters. I just looked it up. Emily and Amelia. I'm not even going to try their last name because I don't want to butcher it. One's a PhD. One has their master's degree in something or other. It was a really good book. It was called Burnout: The Secret to Unlocking the Stress Cycle. And so they're, busy professionals themselves. They gave some really practical tips from maybe families. They're in different fields, from different people that they've worked with. But they talk about different ways of expelling stress from your body, because when they talk about us being like really primitive. We used to get stressed out for survival. So if a lion was chasing us and we got away from the lion, maybe we would like run and get rid of that extra stress. Well, nowadays stress is very different. Stress may be your boss calling you on the phone and yelling at you, or the school calling you and telling you, there's a problem. So our body never gets rid of that extra stress. And so they talk about some different ways of getting rid of it. We know that one of them is like maybe go to the gym, go for a run. But for some people, that's just not practical. Physically, for many, many reasons, some people can't do that. So they do walk you through a different way of, maybe it's like breathing and stuff to expel that stress, which I really like, because I'm really not one for like throwing my hair up in a ponytail and going for a jog. Like, not going to happen. So I really liked that. So I would recommend it. You could probably pick it up from your local library, maybe even grab the audio version, because I know we're all busy. And then the other thing that I really like is this idea of the 7 different kinds of rest. Because what do we always tell people if you're stressed out? Go take a nap. Go jump in a hot tub, or, go take a bath to, release some stress. But that's more like a restful kind of stress relief, but that's not necessarily what everybody might need. So some people need creative outlets. So draw or paint, or whatever it is that you do, crochet, whatever it is that you do for, to let out your creative juices. Maybe it's even like bake, right? One of the other ones is do something physical. So maybe go bowling, go for that run, go for a hike, whatever kind of physical thing there is. But there's spiritual rest, all different kinds of rest. So I love that idea. If you have been taking time every week to go and do, rest or something, and you don't feel like it's really truly restful for you, we'll put a link in the show notes for people to kind of have that information and maybe try a different kind of stress release and restfulness. Maybe the people telling you go take 5 minutes to yourself and read a book quietly. Maybe that's not the kind of rest you need.
Right. I like
It's
some of
very-
those because it's with your mind. You know what I mean? It's not just resting. It's getting your creative mind going.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that helps pivot your brain too a little bit, because sometimes our brains are so, they're just always moving. They're always all over the place. So this way, I love that you can kind of stop and pivot and think of something, like you said, creative, or pick up, I love to, I'm not an artist in any way, but I love those adult coloring books that I can just sit and, just be a 5-year-old again and just color. So that kind of helps me a little bit, but I love that. It's, just slow that brain down a little bit and make it move in another direction.
Yeah.
as
And
the
Julia,
kid-
I know you're really creative.
Yes, she is.
Yeah, and we like to just do art as a family whenever. So we have a big cabinet in our dining room that has every kind of art supply you can imagine, and the kids just grab it, and that's something that actually can helps me with stress, is if they are, the little one especially, giving me a little bit of a hard time. I'm like, why don't you go draw, go get some paper and scissors and practice, and it might make a mess, but it at least gives me that moment to just relax. And then I also appreciate her creativity, and I think that does help me pivot my brain. So just like you guys say, you have to be mindful and turn off some of that racing thoughts, and just focus on something that is not so stressful.
Yeah.
There's some really cute videos that I found on YouTube of people giving you like really simple, easy to do doodles that require absolutely no artistic talent whatsoever, and can maybe look really cute when you're done doing them. Maybe sometimes I do them and they do not look at all like the very simple instructions said that they would look. But it is hard to worry about stuff when you're really concentrating on, wait, am I like making circles, getting your lines straight, all that kind of stuff. So, and I love any day I could color, like one of those really nice boxes of Crayola, like the 64 colors.
Yeah, come here. I have all the crayons. I am obsessed with crayons. I have crayons that I won't let my kids touch. They're mine.
Oh,
Do not touch.
Yeah, have your own box of mom's crayons.
that's awesome. That's
Nobody
hysterical.
wants them once they're all worn down to the nub,
Yeah.
unless you're doing like something on the side. But yeah, you want your own pointy, sharpened crayons.
Yeah.
Yeah, love that. Love that. Well, ladies, any parting words for our audience?
Just that you're not alone, that we all feel that. You're not alone. And, I hate to sound so cliche, but this too shall pass. It'll morph into something else, but in that moment, it can pass. Just, we've all been there. And you'll get through it. Just put one foot in front of the other.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
If I want to say something to the caregivers, if the stress does get too much, or you feel like you're stressed all the time and it's not getting better, see your doctor. And physical symptoms of stress can be very detrimental too. I literally started getting a side stitch that would be so bad. Anytime I would get stressed, I would start to feel it. And my doctor said it's a muscle spasm. because I'm stressing out, my muscles are tensing up. It just happens to be in my back. And it's, I had to really be mindful and work on staying calm so I don't have that excruciating pain. See your doctor if you're having physical symptoms.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Tracy, words of wisdom?
You know, we are living in a very stressful time right now. So do your best to mute out the things that are happening currently that might stress you out more, and do things for yourself that do make you happy. Put things into your life that bring you joy, and just take care of yourself. Make you happy.
Absolutely. Well, thanks to everybody who joined us today. Let's keep the conversation going. Put some comments in, add some comments. Let us know how you deal with stress, what you need to know more about. If there's any ways that we can help you, giving you ideas, we're absolutely thrilled to do that. If you're in Pennsylvania, give us a call and we could brainstorm something specifically for you. But absolutely let us know in the comments what works for you, because other people probably have really good ideas, and we'd love to hear it, because when you're stressed out, we'll try anything to kind of manage. But thanks for your time, everybody, and have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.